me.
Welcome to the Senior Rehab Podcast.
The podcast for rehab clinicians that want to better serve older adults.
And now, your host, Dustin Jones.
Hello, friends. This week's short comes from Brett Neilson. He wrote this post on the Evidence in Motion blog at evidenceinmotion.com titled, "Is Getting Old a Choice?" This is written on November 8th, 2016. One of my favorite patients, seen 8 years ago, was a lady who was in her mid-60s who came to see me for a vestibular dysfunction. While going through my systematic exam and asking her to squat, I heard probably the most unsettling noises come from her knees as she bent down. Her knees sounded like door hinges that had not been opened in 100 years and in serious need of WD-40. I asked her about her knee pain and she exclaimed, "What knee pain? I don't have knee pain and never have had knee pain." I was shocked. "What do you mean you've never had knee pain? If there ever was a definition of bone on bone, it was this woman. Yet there was no pain and her knees moved well, albeit like rusty door hinges. This patient encounter was the beginning of my quest to better understand why people hurt. How can a 40-year-old man with mild arthritis of the knee have more pain, disuse, and disability than this lady? Can pathology really explain pain? What does age have to do with pain? There is a large difference in the definitions of age and being old. Age describes the length of time that a person has lived, biological, whereas being old is a mindset and is relative to a comparison. Despite this difference, these terms are often used interchangeably to describe a person's experience in life. There is no better example of this than the question of "how old are you?" versus "what is your age?" These questions are used interchangeably, however, have very different implications. Societal and medical influences also help to shape this idea that we all get old and that aging leads to wear and tear on our bodies. Wear and tear is then associated with more pain, less activity, and eventual slowing down until we find ourselves 6 feet under the ground. These comments are based on societal age stereotypes, which are driven largely by media and our medical system. Now, don't hear me wrong. We all age, and our bodies go through changes as we age. We may slow down a bit, but do we really have to grow old, or is this more of a mindset we take on? The problem. The root of the age versus old problem lies in the faulty beliefs in how pain works, which is largely driven by medicine. Most people believe that pain equals tissue injury and tissue damage equals pain. The more tissue damage you have, the more pain you'll experience. The longer you live, the more tissue damage you accumulate, and therefore, the more pain you'll experience. Hence, old age equals pain. Unfortunately, people also believe if it hurts, don't do it. Johan Vlayen and Steve Linton, sorry if I pronounced those incorrectly, showed us this with the fear avoidance model, where hypervigilance and avoidance behaviors leads to disuse, depression, and disability. Medicine plays a tremendous role in influencing these beliefs. I want to share with you a story about Aboriginal Australians from a 2013 publication in the British Medical Journal. In the early 1990s, Aboriginal Australians were uniquely identified as protected from the disabling effects of chronic low back pain because of cultural beliefs and limited access to healthcare. While there is a reported high prevalence of chronic low back pain in these communities, the impact was small as few pain behaviors were observed and people did not seek healthcare. Aboriginal people did not view back pain as a health issue, but rather a normal part of life, and therefore did not seek healthcare. Fast forward to the year 2007-2010, when researchers went back to these remote communities to study contemporary beliefs to chronic low back pain. 38 Aboriginal Australians were interviewed. All but one had been to a medical professional to seek help for back pain. The majority of these participants believed their pain was due to damage of the disc or wear and tear of the spine. Well, I got told by a medical specialist that it might be a trapped nerve, or that was before I had my first MRI. And then they said, no, you've got lower lumbar, ... And as I said, it's just bone crunching on bone. 42-year-old Aboriginal Australian man with highly disabling chronic low back pain. The key messages of the study were, number one, contrary to the previous research, negative beliefs, including an anatomical structural cause of pain, and pessimistic future outlook were common. Number 2, negative beliefs originated from interactions with healthcare practitioners suggesting disabling low back pain may be partly iatrogenic. Number 3, biomedical orientated management approaches to low back pain are far-reaching, highlighting the need for healthcare practitioners to positively influence beliefs as part of low back pain care in all settings. The negative affectivity and threatening information provided from these medical providers likely led to more fear, disuse, and disability. The facts. If pain equals damage, then all people with pathology should hurt, and the more pathology you have, the more pain you'll experience. This is an image that was shown to me by Adrian Lau, which uses data from the Brinjink et al. Article published in 2015. It is a graph of facet arthritis versus the incidence of low back pain based on age. Help me find the correlation because I have yet to figure this one out. This image is now an integral part of the pathoanatomical education I deliver within the clinic, which focuses on the concept of pain does not equal pathology and tissues heal. It is also clearly displayed on my wall right above the drinking fountain for all to see. What about the neck? In 2015, Nakashima demonstrated that in 1,211 asymptomatic subjects, 87.6% of participants ages 20 to 80 had cervical disc bulging. Additionally, 5% of participants also had spinal cord compression and 2% had increased signal intensities of their spinal cord. I recently came across this figure that is published on BMUS, the burden of musculoskeletal disease in the United States. This figure shows the percent of the U.S. population with arthritis and joint pain compiled from reported conditions. In 2011, there were 60.8 million persons with arthritis and joint pain. What I find interesting from this grossly underpowered study is that arthritis and joint pain takes on the shape of a bell-shaped curve, with the highest percentage of middle-aged Americans reporting arthritis and pain, 45%, compared to only 32% of Americans over the age of 65. In other words, those with more pathology actually experience less pain. Perhaps we need to remind middle-aged adults about growing pains and that gray hairs on the inside are normal. Perhaps it is not our age that makes us old, but our attitudes, beliefs, and life choices of inactivity, all of which are largely influenced by societal standards, media, and medicine. The solution. As healthcare providers, we are in a tremendous position of power and influence on the beliefs about pain within society. Creating large shifts in beliefs will not be something that happens overnight, nor will it be easy, but I truly believe that it is our responsibility to influence one life at a time. The challenge is to look yourself in the mirror and be critical of yourself and attempt to remove words that create threatening illness information. The goal is to communicate with your patient in a way that builds a positive belief about their pain condition and its future consequences, enhancing resiliency to disability. Lastly, encourage movement. Aerobic exercise has been shown to have effects on pain, sleep, depression, anxiety, and quality of life. Movement is the largest painkiller on the planet, and it is so underutilized. We have an incredible opportunity here as a profession, and it will be up to each one of us to help this shift in beliefs happen. Thanks, Brett. Hit me. Thank you for listening to the Senior Rehab Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, you should hop on over to seniorrehabproject.com, where you can find more helpful content and how you can join me and many others in the movement that's changing the face of geriatric rehab. I appreciate you, and I'll talk with you next week. But in the meantime, do not forget to stay funky.